Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers.
Oh, my heart. Oh.
A supernatural rewatch. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun as always is my brother in podcasting, Reed.
Hey.
Wow, you are not going to live through this. If me speaking loudly is going to set you up, you are not ready for this scary episode.
Well, first I was visually scared by this episode, and now I'm audibly scared.
By the way, things that you've heard.
That's both parts of audio-visual.
There's two parts, and there's audio and visual. Yeah, you got it, buddy. That's it. This episode's got scary paintings, which we've all seen. Paintings, art's terrifying.
Good.
Yeah.
A little more.
And it's got Dean trying to get Sam laid.
Yeah. What's scarier than that?
Nothing scarier than being intimate. Let's get into it.
Ghostfacers! We're facing ghosts, we're others, we're not, we're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghostfacers! We're facing nightmare, we're facing dread! Ghostfacers! We're facing faceless, we're facing dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers! Today,
you scared me. That was so loud.
Episode number 20, Provenance.
That's episode 19.
Welcome to Ghostface. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes. Here, look. I'm going to type 119 Supernatural. Provenance.
No, the computer's wrong. Believe anything you see on the internet. Episode 19, Provenance.
Off to a great start.
Yeah, speaking of off to a great start, we have a review.
Hey, we are off to a great start.
Yeah, see? Everything's fixed.
Yeah.
Yes. As long as you say something good, everything's fine.
Oh, no.
From Stephen Tyree.
No, we lost it again.
Nope. Yeah, it got too cocky.
Easy Icarus.
Yeah. The too close to the sun is reading something.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Via Apple Podcasts USA.
Yep.
Yep. There's nothing to comment on there. With the subject, missing supernatural already? 5-star review. Trying to prevent the depressed binge after the series finale and savor your favorite show again? Listen to this podcast. They are complete nerds for the show. Hey, you mean they're total cool guys for this show?
Totally awesome.
Yeah. Dig into episode trivia and lore. They also get nostalgic, which is amazing. They get into patterns in the show and how the character and storylines change over time. I am now watching an episode and listening to the podcast as a comfort show. I'm trying to pace them out, so I always have a few on the deck to listen.
Hey, that's awesome.
There's a few that we've gotten people reach out to us saying they're like trying to not listen all at once.
Well, I mean, that's also, you know, sometimes we record these like a batch at a time, and it's also, we also have to restrain ourselves. Like, do we make this a 2-episode week? It's like, no, we can't afford to record that much.
No, like, we need to wait the 7 years to get this all finished.
Yeah. I timed it out, actually.
Yeah.
So our other podcast, the Dr. DC podcast.
That's right.
If we go almost roughly as long as Ghostfacers would last, which it would end in 2027.
Yeah.
It just about, or very close, gets us to the 10-year anniversary of that podcast.
Are you kidding?
So we could theoretically end both of the podcasts and our lives then.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is a good start.
Yeah. Carry on.
That's how we do it. But in the background, it's also like dun 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 dun. Dun.
It'll be that song playing, but we're talking about comic books, so we can just record one episode and release it on both feeds.
Dealt with. I don't know. That's not enough content. That's not enough work for me.
Wow, you want the end to be that much work?
Well, it's got to be just as much as everything else.
I think I was about to say something that was a total spoiler, so I'm not gonna.
Oh, yeah, don't do that.
Damn! Oh, it was such a good joke.
Airing April 13th, 2006.
Okay.
There we go. So, written by Catherine Humphrey and John Shiban.
John Shiban is a name I've been seeing a lot lately because I've been watching Enterprise, and he's written, I'd say, most of the episodes in season 2 so far.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, John Shiban is a name that comes up a lot in the credits for Enterprise.
Wow. I mean, he's clearly super, super prevalent within like Supernatural. Like I'm seeing his name, but I don't know if that happens necessarily throughout the entire series.
Right.
But it's totally something that I've noticed, at least up to this point. We've been getting a ton of his influence. So I wonder what he did after that, though. I'm curious. Like if
this would have been after Enterprise, though.
Oh,
Enterprise
really?
would have been before this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
But I sometimes I sit at home and I'm like, I should text Richard, and then I go like, that's a lot of work, and I just don't. But
cool. I'm not like waiting for anything. Directed by Tony Hornby.
okay.
Viewed by an estimated 3.99.
Wow.
99
99.
million viewers. That's right.
Pretty good.
Yeah, not too
Nice.
bad. That's a pretty good standard for them, I think.
Yeah.
It's a good number. International titles.
All right.
You
All
love
right.
it.
So it's Provenance in English. This really could be anything for these international titles.
Yeah. Oh, I apologize. This episode was 3.62 million viewers. So not as good. The next one's going to be 3.99. Little
Wow.
spoiler for next week.
So you didn't even have like a hard time just reading the review. You're having a hard time just like reading all of it.
I'm just having a hard time, okay? Got a lot going on right now. Sometimes it's hard to keep the show on the top of my mind, okay?
I don't know. I'm making a pretty good effort.
Not with this relationship. Just text me, okay?
Oh, it's just so much work.
Ugh. International titles. So for the Brazil and
Brazil.
Capoeira,
Capoeira, Brazil.
the Brazilian and Polish title
Okay.
were both Provenance.
Sure.
Yeah, standard, right? The Finnish and Italian,
Okay.
the Cursed Picture.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. The French. Can you guess what it is?
Oh, it's like painting comes to life.
Pretty close.
Really?
The Haunted Painting.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Basically.
Ghost in Painting. Sorry, you care about spoilers?
Yeah, the French really don't.
No, it is what it is.
The only thing that spoils here is our weird UHT milk that we leave not in the fridge.
But then it just becomes cheese. Delicious cheese.
All our French listeners just turned off their podcast apps.
We're Canadian. We're allowed to have issues with French people.
I am French.
Exactly. And you already hate yourself. So
Oh, well,
there we go.
didn't think that was why, but
The German.
okay. I'm going to say it's
Think French, but then it's like one step further.
Yeah, I'm going to say like painting that haunts you.
No, it's too far.
Okay.
It's the painting.
Oh.
But you know who always brings the heat.
Oh, Hungary?
Hungarian.
All right, come on, Hungary.
The Portrait's Revenge.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Here I am. Turn, rock you like a
portrait.
hurricane. No, I just like it just needs like entrance music because it's like such a good title.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hungary always brings it.
Wait a minute. That's the Portrait's Revenge's entrance music.
Down. Can't stand it. You know I planned it.
How many people listen to you? Do you think love Supernatural?
Yeah.
Listen to our show.
Okay.
Also love wrestling.
That's a very good question.
I'm gonna say 4.
They all listen to the Goods from the Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. All right. TV Guide describes this episode as a gruesome double murder sends the boys after a mysterious painting with unusual powers and a blood-soaked past.
Ooh.
And it may pose a threat to a girl in whom Sam has taken an interest.
Oh, Sammy.
Oh, Sammy.
He's going for it. He's learning to love again.
Yeah. Or is he? Featured music from this episode, Nighttime by Steve Carlson.
Rock you like a hurricane.
Bad Time.
Sorry, good time or nighttime and then bad time?
Yeah.
Okay.
In brackets, To Be in Love.
Oh, okay, sure.
By Grand Funk Railroad.
Right.
Romantic Piece Number 1 by Extreme. One More Once by Black Toast Music.
Okay.
That's it. That's the featured music from this.
Again, I don't even know. Like, if I just don't know the song, I've never heard it because I've only ever watched this streaming. So for first season, I've just never heard the right song.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any weird, like, scary paintings in your life?
There was a painting that my folks had in their house that it just creeped me out. Like it didn't have lore or anything.
No,
but it was a painting that was kind of abstract, but it sort of just looked like someone
kind of like from It, like the.
It wasn't quite like that one,
Yeah.
but it was just like these sort of shapes that looked like a very gaunt kind of skeletal figure. It was just a black field with this sort of greenish these shapes. My mom's like a fine artist, and
Is she?
yeah, she liked all this stuff, and we had this stuff.
Yeah.
But that one always kind of creeped me out. Just sort of looked odd and scary.
My grandparents had a painting of just like an old Scottish man
Okay.
who had the big like sideburns that turned into like the mustache.
Oh, I love that. Great look.
With like almost like the like Sherlock Holmesy kind of hat.
Like a deer hunter.
Yeah, kind of that with like
Is that what it's called? Deer stalker. Sorry.
Sure.
Deer stalker.
with a pipe in his
Okay.
mouth. And it was just like dead eyes.
Just
through
a random guy, or is this like a portrait of
Just
a family member?
As far
or-
I mean, I actually don't know. It's been a thing that terrified me as a child. And then my grandfather passed away not that long ago, and my mother was like, "Oh, do you want this?" And I was like, Why in the world would I want this? I'm like, this haunted me as a child. She's like, somebody needs to take this. And I was like, it's not gonna be me. And then she tried to pawn it off on one of my brothers, and they're like, "No, that thing is terrifying." They're like, your brother Richard is also terrified by it, and they're like, "Really?" And it was like, I thought I was the only one. So I think either my little brother has it or my mom has it right now, but it's terrifying. Yeah. But my mom tried to. The last time I was in Ontario, she brought it with her. It's like, I got a bunch of stuff for you, and brought it, and I was like, "No, I am not taking this."
I thought you were going to say she like put it out on the curb one day and she went back inside and it was hanging up.
Yeah.
Or like,
Oh my god, it scared the bejesus out of me. That one, like, I was not okay with as a child.
that's really funny.
Yeah. But before getting into our thoughts on today's episode, why don't we open up Dad's journal and learn a bit about the real world lore on today's monster?
Yeah, let's see what the lore says about haunted paintings.
Here's what the lore says about art history.
Yeah. Art.
Beginning in the beginning of time.
80,000 years ago
Yeah.
in a cave in France.
Yes, exactly. No, tell us about it.
So, haunted paintings.
Yes.
There are many, many stories and legends surrounding the idea of a haunted painting. There are variations. There's some that like where the story is that it like traps or leeches your soul, or paintings that curse you, or just paintings in which like the subjects move.
Yeah.
Or like the content of the painting changes depending on when you're looking at it.
Yeah.
The most common one is, people describing the eyes actually moving and following you, or like,
That's because I cut them out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Weirdly, all the paintings in your house, the eyes are all X'd out.
No. They were cut out so that I could.
And they're all paintings of ex-girlfriends?
No. They're just random paintings that I cut the holes out so that I could come from behind and look through.
Like Scooby.
Yeah.
Like you have a Scooby-Doo mansion?
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a couple of examples of famous haunted paintings. You've
Okay.
probably heard of this first one, The Crying Boy.
Yeah, it's all the photos of me as a child.
This is a legitimately famous haunted painting
Okay.
legend. The painting was made by an artist named Giovanni Bragolin, who began mass producing the painting in like the 1950s. It's one of those things that it's just like kind of generic like art that you might see like in a hotel or in just places.
But he's pointing at a photo of you.
Yeah, it's possible that he made around like 50,000 of them in total.
Goodness.
But there are 50 to 60 cases where the painting is said to be attached to mysterious fires.
Oh.
So the painting depicts a small boy looking outward, and he's got a sad, teary expression. He's just wearing brown. He just looks like a little orphan boy. And it turns out that the boy was real, and he was an orphan, and his parents died in a fire.
Okay.
So the painting has been linked to a number of fires in homes and buildings where it was hung. In some cases, it's just started from like accidents, like the stovetop being on or things like that. But the eerie part is that in most of these examples, the painting remains unharmed after the fire is
seriously
done. Yeah. Even the painter's home studio burnt down.
What the hell?
It's possibly linked to over 50 or 60 different fires.
This is the first time that you've like talked about a scary thing and it's actually been like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're a skeptic out there, you could make the argument of like the seatbelt paradox, right?
Yeah.
When seatbelts were first made mandatory, then seatbelt related car deaths went up. But it was just because everyone was wearing the seatbelt.
Yeah.
If you're a skeptic, you could say, if this painting is that popular, then it would just be in more houses and therefore linked to more accidental fires.
Sure.
If you want to be the skeptic, that is totally the argument you make.
If you want to be not a total fucking bummer.
If you want to be scared of everything in your life, then this painting definitely caused those fires.
Yeah, it's called having a life.
That you're afraid of.
Yeah. It's called having a life.
Oh, man, that's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it.
Oh, man, I'm so deep.
Okay, there's another painting called The Anguished Man.
Again, another painting of you.
Yeah. I'm going to the bathroom in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a grown-up crying boy.
It's a painting of gastrointestinal distress.
Yeah, there's just a pocket of empty sausages next to him.
So the current owner of this painting, The Anguished Man, his name is Sean Robinson. He's from, I think, Cumbria in England. No. He inherited it from his grandmother.
Yeah.
It's like a sort
it
of...
was Cambria when he moved there.
It's sort of an expressionist depiction of a screaming man. The man is in like reds and oranges, and then the field behind him is in blues and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. This is not like the screaming man.
It's not like the Scream, like Edvard Munch's The Scream, but it has a similar quality, kind of similar characteristic.
Okay.
Upon inheriting the painting, Sean's house was plagued with doors creaking open, horrible screams in the night, and recurrent nightmares for everyone in his family.
Wow.
And apparently, the artist mixed his own blood in the paints when he made it and killed himself when it was finished.
And all of the counts of the scary things that happened were also from the crazy person, maybe?
So that's another sort of legend of a haunted painting. There are many accounts. Those ones are two very like jarring ones that jumped out at me.
Yeah.
A lot of them are just like, this one is weird. It kind of has a weird history. Someone died in front of this painting, and now we think its eyes move. Like there's a lot of those ones, or a lot of like, if you look away and look back, like the painting's smiling a bit more, or things like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
eerie.
There's an eerie quality to paintings in general. The big thing with the Mona Lisa is that the way that it's painted is you can see many different things in it. Like the face is so neutral that it can look like a smile or a frown or a like paintings already have this sort of eerie characteristic to them. So then when you add this layer of like the spiritual or mixing blood in the paint or the craziness of some like manic artists and like a Van Gogh or someone like that. I think it's very it's such like a logical
it's a capture of emotion a lot of the time, right?
Totally. And especially when you're dealing with things like impressionism or expressionism, where it's not like a perfect detailed recreation of something, where it's more about the emotion. The idea of trapping something spiritual in there becomes more and more
But even like when you're going for like realism, like then you're getting that uncanny valley thing. And,
Yeah, I think that no matter what, there's something kind of creepy about a painting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
then the eyes thing that where they're always following you, that adds another, depending on the way they do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Mona Lisa's got that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bulk of paintings that are considered to be good, if they have eyes that are facing outwards, they give off the optical illusion anyway that they're following you. So were a painting to be haunted, what a great cover. No one would be able to prove it.
Exactly.
Many haunted,
why I cut the eyes out of them all.
Many haunted painting incidents aren't quite as severe as like nightmares and stuff like that, but sometimes it's people attributing like insomnia, dread, depression, paranoia, other psychological concerns. They sort of attribute it to the painting being in their house.
Yeah.
Again, could be psychosomatic, but who knows?
Yeah.
In popular culture, the most famous example of a cursed painting is the portrait of Dorian Gray. The picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
So in that story, the picture would age instead of Dorian Gray himself.
Yes.
He ends up sort of guilt-stricken by all of these misdeeds that he does, and he eventually stabs the painting, and the book ends with people going up into the attic and finding an old man stabbed in the chest and a painting of the young Dorian Gray. So it undid the curse. And in general, most lore regarding haunted paintings offers a simple solution. You either get the painting out of your house, you sell it, or you destroy it. Usually with fire, although the Dorian Gray one was, you could like physically, whatever you did physically to it would affect him.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
A little bit different on the story that we talk about today.
Yes.
So why don't we get into it?
Let's do it.
And we're going into it now. We go right into a cold open for this episode, which is kind of cool.
Cold open of a creepy ass like is it a painting or a photograph?
Well, here's the thing.
It looks like a tintype photo.
Yeah, it does.
But it's hanging in a big picture frame. It could just be a photo, like a painting done off a photo.
Yeah.
But it definitely has like a photo quality to it.
Definitely. So we get like this young couple putting a painting up on their mantle. They clearly like came from like some sort of event, probably an auction, because they're sort of talking about, I can't believe we got this thing.
And he's wearing a bow tie.
Yeah,
like they're fancy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that, I mean, it's already sort of like, why did we get this thing? It's super creepy. And the guy's just like, it'll keep you safe. Like,
yeah. What sets the mood better than this creepy painting like of an 1800s family?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing gets me going more than like looking like old couples. That's what I'm looking for. So they're flirting for a minute.
She goes to freshen up.
Yeah, exactly. And we see the man in the painting just suddenly like move just as she's walking away.
And it's so like almost imperceptible. Even if you're watching the show, you might miss him move, but then when it cuts back to the painting, you see it more explicitly, but the first little movement is very subtle. And the one where you like, did I make that up? Like, it's the one where you might doubt yourself, kind of.
Like, did he just make a Sufi? I don't... Wow. That guy's got taste.
Yeah, he started doing like the Generation X like stuff. Weird painting.
So the woman heads upstairs. The man is sort of the husband or boyfriend or whatever he is like getting ready for bed. He's putting away things. He's like locking the door, things like that. And the locking the door is an important piece.
Yeah,
here.
you see this like POV shot of someone coming upstars, and
nice.
she said, "If you don't get in here, I'm going to start without you," which is like actually kind of sexy. But far be it for me to.
But the man walks into his room now because.
But now he's going up the stairs, so you're like, well, what already went up?
Exactly, right? Yeah. And as he walks in there, he's sort of like, "Oh, like, babe, like, what's going on? The lights are all off.
It's too dark in here. How could I see us doing it?"
Yeah.
It's not what he says.
Why did I put these mirrors on the ceiling?
He says, "Did you spill something?" And then he turns on the light. There's blood everywhere. She is dead.
Yeah.
And he freaks out.
She's super dead.
This is very chilling. Like, it's very well shot. He's very scared, and he looks straight at the camera and screams, and the camera
as
kind
if
of moves
something's
in
coming for him, right?
Yeah.
They do a good job of sort of like putting your sort of like
It's a good cold open.
yeah. Keeping your mind sort of in a specific thing where you're like, oh, I assume it's this and this.
Yeah, our first scene of Sam and Dean is a woman giving the last 4 digits of her number to Dean.
So what's funny is when Dean gets the woman's number at the bar at the beginning of the episode, he repeats the number back incorrectly. She gives him a number ending in 3420, but Dean says it back 7420, and the woman confirms he heard it correctly.
Oh, yeah. She's giving him a fake number.
I know. So Sam's looking.
Dirtbag Dean.
I know this is definitely a dirtbag Dean moment for sure. Sam's looking at a newspaper and finds a suspicious death, so he calls Dean over.
I know it's part of their job. I know how hunting works in this show, but the idea of like a 23-year-old in a bar reading a newspaper,
I know.
That's 100% serial killer territory. You call the cops if you see a 23-year-old reading a newsper
even
at
in
night
2006.
in a bar, if you see that happen, run.
Yeah, run for your life. But when Sam is first seen, he's in a bar reading the newspaper articles and drinking something from an old-fashioned glass, presumably whiskey. Dean brings 2 beers to the table. The camera pans, and suddenly the whiskey glass is gone, and there are 4 full beers at the table.
I mean, that's my kind of night out.
Yeah. Dean tries to get Sam to join him with the girls, but Sam sort of is trying to focus on the fact that there's these weird murders. They have their dad's notebook, and they're talking about how these 3 murders have happened, first in 1912, the second one in 1945. So there's this huge gap between them, which is why cops probably aren't like associating.
And
them.
Dean has said like, this might not be our thing, and Sam's like, I think it's tied to these things in the journal.
Yeah.
I think it's an us thing. We should check it out.
Yeah, exactly. But Dean only really cares about
Dean Dean says, fine, I'm with you, we'll check it out, but we have to wait till first thing in the morning anyway, right? And Sam's like, yeah, and Dean's like, all right, ladies, and he's like back over at the bar.
Yeah, this is douchebag Dean for sure. So now the next day, and we're at the house of this recently murdered couple in New York.
I love that Dean is in full hangover mode, like the
sunglasses,
wraparound shades, sleeping in the car.
So funny. So they're in upstate New York, clearly upstate New York. It's like all these fancy sort of old school houses where Mark and Teleska were found dead in a locked house.
Yeah.
So we saw him lock the door. So how did they get murdered?
Sam says there was no EMF. There's nothing strange about them.
No supernatural activity, sort of like
Dean says it might just be the house or a cursed object.
But
Sam goes like, the house is clean.
Yeah.
No furniture, nothing. The house is empty.
And they're like, well, where does it all go? It's because it's been sent to an auction house.
Yeah.
And they need to go to make sure that
I guess is what happens if like you have no one else in your life.
I guess.
These like young, happy, rich couples just had no one else in their life.
There's a tragic story we don't know.
Just die? Like,
yeah.
I mean, fine. It made the paper. It takes them a while to get there. But even if it's like a week away, the house has been emptied and sent to auction already.
They do bring it up in this. Of how
do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
they do
remember
address it. So they turn up at the auction house where the owner, Daniel Blake, tries to get them to leave, basically. They like immediately come in there and look so out of place.
Dean, he's eating.
Oh,
He says it's like a garage sale for wasps, which is very funny. And everyone's like in suits. They come in and just like their jackets. Dean's eating like cucumber sandwiches off the plates or whatever.
I think with mini quiches.
They look like so not like they're supposed to be there. And then
they're like, we're art dealers. Which no art dealer has ever looked like that ever.
I know, like just dress up. You've done it for other things.
I know, like that's
he's wearing a hoodie. He's not an art dealer.
Yeah, like I get what they're trying to do. He's like grabbing champagne.
Dean like pretends to smell it, like he could discern the difference.
But it does it in a way where he's clearly like knows he's not doing it right, almost rubbing it in the guy's face.
It's so funny. Yeah, this first season is full of that, and then you get an episode where it's like, oh, they're getting better at it, and then there's another episode and you go like, oh no, they're not good at this.
They're definitely sort of figuring it out in this first season, which I guess they're allowed to. But they end up running into a woman who ends up being the daughter, sort of Sarah Blake, of the owner of the auction house. Who also works there.
Yeah, she's she meets Sam. She's immediately doing the like look down and smile, like,
but also sort of is trying to like call him on his shit. So she says that the family portrait is probably an American primitive art style, and Sam corrects her by saying that the style is more Grant Wood. Grant Wood is an American painter whose most famous work is American Gothic, which most people would probably know.
I love the idea. I mean, I know Sam is smart.
Yeah.
I know he does his research, but the idea of like going into someone's profession and trying to bullshit them enough that they're like, yeah, you're better than me.
Yeah.
Is like the ultimate hubris.
Yeah. I mean, that's just white male privilege right there.
Well, yeah. But yeah, Sam and her have
A little something going on there for
there's
sure.
A little bit of chemistry.
Sarah,
The auction house owner comes over because he's her dad.
yes, he's her dad,
And he's like, there will be none of this.
yeah, because they're not on the guest list, so the boys immediately are getting kicked out. But one of the pieces of information they get is that it is the Teleska estate that's being auctioned.
Yes.
That's a piece.
And
of
we see
information.
the painting. It's there in the background. It's very creepy.
Yeah. So now we're at the motel, and Dean's sort of questioning all the knowledge about his art. He's just like, how did you possibly get that? And I love, this is so not Sam. He's just like, oh, I went to art history because
It's good for meeting girls.
I'm just
It's
like,
that's not why you
that's
took
not
it.
Sam. That's not Sam at all.
It's not why you took it.
And not at all. But they enter the motel room. This is the first theme motel room we've gotten so far.
Yeah, it's
Sam and
weird.
Dean are going into the motel room, and it's like this 1970s black and silver decorated room. Disco music is playing in the background, and when the door is closed, you can see the Do Not Disturb sign, which bears a silhouette of female dancer in a pose made famous by John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever from 1977. And the motel name is the Boogie Inn.
Yes, yeah.
This is like a thing that becomes sort of more prevalent as the series goes on, but this is sort of the first time because they're using basically the same motel set for every
a
time
lot,
they do
yeah.
a motel.
So they're walking in. Sam explains the title of the episode. He says a provenance is basically like the biography of a piece of art. It tells you where it came from and who has owned it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Dean says we're not going to get anything out of Chuckles.
Yes.
But like maybe Sarah. And Sam says maybe you can get her to write down her number for you. And Dean goes, not me.
Yeah.
And he makes Sam give her a call. And then we cut to
They're at a
Sam
restaurant.
and Sarah at a restaurant. Very
That's-
like low light.
I know.
Sam's got just enough kind of his like messy hair going.
Yeah.
It's like,
But
oh,
it's really funny because
I'm
when
young, but I know a lot.
when it came out, this this episode specifically is like when this show came out, it was not super HD, and so now you really see the like makeup and a lot of like the like
Right.
cover up on Sam, where it's like covering up like acne and kind of things like that because
Yeah,
they're still very young.
Yeah.
And so
I love him like flipping through the wine list and
As
he
if
like
he-
does not know what to do.
No,
here.
not at all. No, we didn't take a wine history course,
And-
Sam.
Yeah, well, and Sarah says, I'll have a beer. And that's how you know she's like down to earth.
Yeah,
That's how you know she's like cool.
she's DTE.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, down to earth. Right.
Yeah.
I just said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is very funny. But yeah, we get this sort of discussion about, again, Sam's sort of history and about the fact that he went to law school but sort of didn't really finish it. And she's sort of like probing for more information, trying to figure out where sort of, because she wants to get information. Like, is she looking to have like an
Yeah.
actual relationship with this guy, right?
Yeah, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. This apparently being able to name Grant Wood was enough for her to be like, you're interesting. And then they're having this deep conversation, and she's talking about how her mom died a year ago.
When I talk about Wood, I never get that kind of interest.
Yeah, you might be doing it wrong.
No, I can't be it.
That's not it. I do love when characters psychoanalyze themselves and be like, my mom died, and I just went into this shell.
Yeah.
It's like, no one talks like that.
No, I know what's wrong with me.
It's fine. Like, I mean, it's TV writing. That's what happens. It's out there. That's how things are written.
No,
But
I took this psychological history class too.
She calls him reasonably attractive, which is very funny.
Reasonably, yeah. Why? What happened to I love it. That's like she's negging him,
Definitely.
and it's working.
She makes him like squirm over the wine list, and then she goes, beer. And then she's like, you're reasonably, like, she's full negging him.
Yeah, and it's working for her.
You cut to her apartment. There's a copy of The Game on her bedside.
Sam's got The Secret next to his.
So you cut back to the hotel, and Sam has managed to get the provenances.
Yeah, for the of the items of the Teleska house. Basically, the listing of all of the things that.
Okay, Dean.
sold.
Douchebag Dean. So he's like, so how'd the date go? And Sam's like, that's it. I got the Provenances and I left. And Dean's like, you didn't like get any special favors, right? He's like, Jesus, Dean.
No. Dean finds that Dean finds out that the portrait of Isaiah Merchant's family, painted in 1910, was also owned by the other families that have been killed so far.
Yes. So we finally have a connection between these sort of
like what item in the house is connected to all of these feather.
These sort of mystery other pieces. We're starting to connect the dots a little bit, but we still haven't figured out like what is it about the painting? The painting is a connection.
Yeah.
But how?
Yeah, exactly. It was basically stored and then donated to this auction house where they bought it. So either way, they're like, well, we know how to deal with this. We'll just go to the auction house.
They do make a distinction that it could be haunted or cursed.
But they're like, we'll burn it.
Cursed being like it's just imbued with magic, or haunted being that like a ghost's or like someone's soul is trapped in it.
Exactly. I do love the like getting into the auction house music and film style. It's very much like do.
Yeah.
Like they're like hopping over fences. It's filmed really quickly. They're like breaking into it. They're using like
lockpicks. There's an armed disarmed thing with the digital one. It is it's funny. We see them struggle so much with some other things, and right now it's like Ocean's 11.
Yes. Exactly. It's very much like high stakes heist kind of situation.
Yeah, which is funny.
I really liked it. So
they find the painting. It's sort of up that spiral staircase where we first saw.
I really love the way this
down.
is filmed too. The sort of like light pouring in, the most amount of moonlight that's ever existed,
and fully desaturated.
Yeah,
like this is all browns and grays.
Yeah, first season definitely got a lot of.
They
this.
do like the classic art heist thing where you cut it out of the frame.
Yes. It does. It feels like an art heist. I mean, that's kind of, I'm assuming why they did it. But then you immediately cut to them trying to burn the painting, right? In front of their car, like outside, basically. They just
Dean says, you asked me, we're doing them a favor. They burn the painting, and then you cut back to the auction house, and the painting like unburns in the portrait.
Yeah, it literally comes back to life. It's where it came from.
Yeah, so
which is really
it's not going to be that easy, boyos.
No. So now we're at the next day, and first we get sort of just a frame of the painting being back fully together, and now we're in the next day at the motel. Dean pretends that he had dropped his wallet at the auction house the night before. Is suddenly like, we got to go back. Like, it's got my ID. Like, it's got my prints, which also makes no sense. But I guess
just that he's touched
he's
it.
Holding
his prints are on it.
Yeah, for sure. So they need to like now go back.
And he has been booked multiple times. Like, there's a database with his prints in it.
Without a doubt. Yeah, absolutely. They definitely need to deal with this problem. So they get to the auction house, and Dean's pretending to like look around for it. I say pretend because then Sarah shows up and Dean completely stops looking for it.
Yeah, he just kind of does like they both kind of do like the lead, like, oh, hey, didn't see you there.
We were desperately looking for you.
Yeah, we're only sweating because we just love art this much.
Yeah, exactly. But then Dean pulls the wallet out of his pocket, and it's clearly been there the whole time, and Sam realizes
he just made Sam go back there so that
he could see
like,
Sarah.
Dean's playing matchmaker a little bit here, which is very funny.
It's definitely he wants.
I'll leave you two crazy kids alone. Like he's 4 years older.
Yeah, it's like,
but that's such a like a big brother kind of move.
Absolutely,
that's a nice. There's some nice little moments that way with Dean in here.
It's interesting because the girl's clearly got feelings about him.
Yeah.
So Sarah's sort of like being.
She says maybe we should do it again sometime, and then. Sam it basically has to say like I'm basically a transient.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah,
like
I'm the littlest hobo, and there's no way.
And while they're talking, Sam sees a worker move that painting.
Yeah,
and he has to kind of go like and she's like, what? And he's like, that painting looks so good. And then she calls it a monstrosity, and he said, what do you know about the painting? She says, it creeps me out. We sold it to the Teleskas the night they were murdered. Like, this painting doesn't even wait.
No.
Like, this painting, it's not like it waits a month and then they die. It's like they just bought it and then they were murdered.
Yeah, this painting is hungry.
Sam has to try to convince her not to sell it.
He freaks out, and so now he's suddenly like...
Yeah.
like he's both like saying he's like, oh my god, that painting's amazing, and like it's terrible.
He was like, I'm leaving tonight, and then he's like, no, I'll call you back. And she's like, you're not leaving tonight? He's like, maybe. Bye.
Yeah. So the most suspicious thing that anybody's ever done ever.
Yeah. I mean, he's legitimately freaked out. It's cool to see him like drop the
Act
cool
a bit,
guy thing,
yeah.
but like, I mean, from her perspective, absolutely insane. Never mind, no second date.
Exactly. So the boys are in the car and they're sort of confused about how the painting is still intact, and they decide that they need to know more.
Yeah, Sam says something about it's usually the subject of a painting that is haunting people. So they have to figure out about the family, the Isaiah Merchant family.
So they go to a local library and find out that Isaiah Merchant.
This guy's library is all just like loose scraps of paper. It's like Gandalf in fucking Minas Tirith. There's one about like family slaughtered, girl kills self or something.
Yeah. The least interesting title ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he was or like guy kills himself. He's like, he was a barber. He used a straight razor.
Yeah, exactly. So the family was murdered by using a straight razor. But they basically,
so a wife, 2 sons, adopted daughter, and then killed self. Yeah,
exactly. Which, I mean, also this guy's got a ton of information.
Yeah, this guy's like, finally, someone has come in to ask.
Yeah.
Every day I come to work with this stack of loose papers
and this one newspaper holding in my hand, clutched.
And I'm always just pointing at this headline. No one has ever asked me about it until today.
Oh, this is finally your moment.
I don't work here.
No. Oh. This isn't even a library. This is just my personal collection.
Yeah. We see a version of the painting in a textbook, but everyone is looking out of the frame. But every time we've seen the painting in its resting position, the father is like looking away, like off to the side. So Sam is already like,
Yeah, like clearly it's definitely haunted.
Yeah. Cut back to the auction house. Chuckles, the dad, is selling the painting, and Sarah's like, you said you wouldn't do it, and he's like, listen, for any amount of money, I'll do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So on 2 different occasions, the painting is seen packaged up and moved incorrectly. The symbols at the top of the box determine which way the content is meant to be transported and stored. The painting is seen being put into the crate with the symbols facing the wrong way.
Yes, yeah. As someone whose workplace is often filled with crates of artwork.
Yes. You know that fact, yeah. So we go back to the motel, and Sam notices that the picture of the painting in an old book, Isaiah is staring straight ahead, and the painting now, he is looking right towards the girl. Sam references the book The Da Vinci Code, written by Dan Brown, when Dean suggests that there's a possible hidden clues in the cursed painting. Dean doesn't understand what Sam means by when he says, and he says I'm still waiting for the movie on that one. The Da Vinci Code 2006 premiered in theaters a month after this episode aired.
Oh, yeah. Fun. Okay.
So it was relevant at the time.
Dean, another little Dean thing. Sam's like, stop trying to hook me up with Sarah, because Dean's like almost more concerned with that than with the painting.
Yeah.
And Dean's like, maybe you wouldn't be so cranky all the time.
Yeah, you got laid, basically.
Yeah.
Douchebag Dean is in full force in this episode.
Yeah.
But Dean encourages Sam to basically pursue Sarah, but Sam's pretty reluctant. He calls Sarah to see if they can view the painting again, though, because he's the one with the relationship.
There's a nice little moment here. Dean is like, listen, I know I'm being a dick, but like, have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Jessica would probably even want you to have a little bit of fun. No disrespect, but like, honestly, like you're 23. I don't think she has delusions about you like hanging it up forever, right? Like,
exactly. So, but I think the moment where he sort of brings up Jessica is the thing where he's just like, ugh, like that's true. Like, even she would have wanted that for me. She kept trying to hook me up with her friends. I don't know.
Yeah, even when she was alive.
Yeah. It was
very weird.
We both know Jessica would have wanted this. So he gives her a call, and basically he finds out that the painting has already been sold to one of Sarah's friends named Evelyn. Which is interesting because they say a friend, and this is a very old lady, which isn't, I guess you can have friends.
But it's also like, I think they also set up Sarah in this episode to be kind of like a workaholic.
Yeah.
That she doesn't necessarily have a big social life. She even says she doesn't go on a lot of dates or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think they're sort of setting up that maybe most of her quote unquote social circle are
connected to
these
this.
functions, these auctions, stuff like that. So,
Exactly like that.
yeah.
So we get a shot now at Evelyn's. It's one of those like beautiful like New York like old homes.
Yeah, it's got one of those big like verandas
Yes.
and stuff like that. She's got like the stained glass like lampshade kind of
Yes.
thing. She's obviously wealthy. She's buying art. We see the painting hanging up above the fireplace, and
And the guy's looking directly basically at her, it looks like.
yeah,
And you can see
and then something moves in her glasses.
it's the blade.
It's
a straight razor.
It's the straight razor, of course. And she looks up and screams and cut to black.
Exactly. So I'm glad they don't.
I know we saw blood in the cold
Yeah.
open, but no blood splatter.
Yeah.
None of that supernatural like
classic.
special. The like.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's interesting when they choose and don't choose to use it. I'm glad they didn't use it.
Yeah,
With
so
old
the
lady.
three of them in the middle of the night show up at this woman's house and pound on the door,
Yeah.
which won't scare her.
No, a little old lady. Yeah.
And then Sarah is like, "What are you guys, burglars?" And Sam's like, "I wish."
Yeah. That'd be more opportune than what their current positions are.
Yeah, it would be a better life for them if
Yeah.
they were. Yeah,
Exactly.
So they head in, and it's that creepy horror setup where Evelyn's still in the chair. Like,
So you're like, everything's fine.
We all know she's dead.
She's just sleeping, but you know you're not. And Sarah goes to put her hand on Evelyn's shoulder, and the guys are like, "Don't," because they know like something bad's gonna happen. I mean, this is a classic like throat slit thing.
Yeah.
Where so messed up where the person's head then like tilts back.
And when the head tilts back, they look at the painting and the dad's looking out.
Yeah.
So he was looking to the side like he does, and then he was looking out again. So,
Exactly.
very, very creepy. I don't think Sarah noticed it though, because she was busy screaming because her friend was dead.
Ugh, I guess.
So Sarah shows up at the motel and she was like, "This is messed up. I just had to lie to the cops and tell them I was alone there.
Yeah.
So thanks for that."
But this is at the point where they sort of discuss with Sarah the reality of like the supernatural nature of what's going on.
Yeah. And again, not the first time they've had to do this with someone, but relatively rare.
It's always
in the
interesting when
show.
they sort of decide to do like the everything supernatural is real, or when they just do this thing is supernatural.
Oh yeah. So Sarah did see it because Sam says, "You saw that painting." move."
Yeah.
And she goes, "No, I was seeing things, blah, blah, blah. It was impossible." Dean goes, "Welcome to our world."
Yeah.
She's like, "Dean, not now."
So funny.
But yeah, the painting is definitely haunted. She's freaking out. Sam is being very sincere and serious.
He's also got the most like early 2000s outfit. It's like an oversized dress shirt with like what almost looks like a puka shell necklace on. Or no, he's not wearing a necklace, but it's like that.
He
like
could be though.
Undone like dress shirt.
But even her, she's wearing just like a tank top with a weird suede jacket over it. Like
I love it. It's very of its time, this episode for sure.
So she is weirdly kind of going along with this, but I think we're meant to believe that she's built up enough trust with Sam, or she's sort of drawn to him in a way where she's like, he's being sincere. This is insane, but I'm going to go with it because it still doesn't feel like he is the danger.
Well, and I can't make a better explanation of what's going on either, right? I think that's an important piece. And she's scared, but she still sort of resolves to help them.
Yes, exactly.
Which I love because then Dean's just like, you gotta marry that girl. Because she's just like, well, let's go after this. Like, anyways.
I do love Dean there. That's very funny.
It's good. So now they go
daytime and they're picking a lock on an active crime scene.
It's
at the front of the house.
Yeah. Yeah, not really trying to be super like suspicious or non-suspicious about this.
So they take I love the chalk outline on the chair. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that part
makes me think of that John Mulaney bit where he's like, "We'll draw chalk around the bodies so we know where the body was."
Yeah. What's funny is while they're looking at the painting together, Dean calls Sam Jared instead of Sam. He's actually admitted to this on panel and like at conventions and stuff that the editing team missed it. Most of the streaming networks won't write in Sam, but if you listen, he 100% says Jared.
Really?
Yeah. So it just ended up in the episode in the final cut.
So Dean says if he's looking somewhere different, he must be doing it for a reason. They're looking at the painting, and this is where they discover in the background of the painting is a painting of like a mausoleum or a crypt. They're like, maybe that's where the family is buried or something. Dean makes a makeshift like magnifying glass out of an ashtray, which is like not a thing I knew you could do.
But the mausoleum says merchant on it, so there's connected to the family, and they're looking for bones to burn. So it makes sense to head there, right?
Dean says this is the third boneyard we've checked. Sarah's like, so you guys do this for a living?
Yeah.
And Sam says, not exactly, we don't get paid.
Which then sort of brings up a whole other question. It's weird that she says Mazel Tov.
Yeah, don't fully get that.
Yeah.
But they do find
clearly from the painting.
It's the mausoleum. It's the crypt for this family.
My guess is that they probably used, like, to make these paintings, they probably just used some sort of like After Effects like filter to make it look painting. Because I mean, there's like actions you can use in like Adobe and like Photoshop,
and that's why it kind of looks like a photo.
Yeah, that would be my guess, because it's got to be, you're not going to make actual paintings, especially with the movements they have to do and things like that. So but when Dean opens up the wooden casket, Isaiah's skeleton is not wearing any clothes. While it may appear that this is so because the reveal of the corpse is very brief, freeze frame at 32:56 not only reveals that Isaiah has a tattered suit coat, but also the remnants of hair.
Oh, so there's one shot where he does have a suit and stuff on, where the skeleton does, and and then another shot where he doesn't.
One where he's not, and then one where he is. Yeah,
okay. That's fun.
It's it's interesting, but they do find that Isaiah was buried in a pauper's grave. And
right. And then Sam says, "Look, there's only 3 urns." They say Daddy Dearest isn't here. Because there's supposed to be the dad, the wife, the son, and the adopted daughter, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. But while Dean sort of is going to get some more information, I think, right?
Dean's doing something, and Sam's busy trying to move an eyelash.
Oh God, it's so painful. It's so like a forced like romantic moment between these two.
This is not. I mean, both of them are doing a good job of selling something very wooden.
Yes, 100%.
The actors are doing well here. This is a awkward scene.
There is some chemistry.
I think they have good chemistry.
I think she's a little too forward for Sam, even.
I mean, I think that's partly the writing, but I think like as performers, they've got good chemistry. They're doing something right there.
I don't know if they'd be a long-term relationship, but...
Oh, no, but she's like, am I crazy? Is this, like, going somewhere?
Very forward, like...
But again,
I kind of love it, but...
She's a professional. She knows what she wants. She doesn't date a lot. There's something happening there. She doesn't want to mess around. So she's asking the question. I don't think that idea is unreasonable, but I also don't know that the episode does it well.
No, for sure. But I do like seeing, a female, like character in this show who's sort of, like, knows what they want and like has some agency to them.
Yes. And I mean, the deeper we get into this, the more of those we will meet. And that's, I think, really when the show kind of
hits its peak, I think, is when they start bringing in, characters that are just like super strong and like could have their own shows.
Totally.
I that's a thing that this show does really well sort of later on, I find. But it's really challenging when you're trying to do that sort of like sort of playing on the genre when the genre is so classically known for like making women in positions of like weakness and like fearful and this.
But then you also get the flip side because there's always the final girl, right? Yeah. That's such a classic horror trope. But yet, I mean, you're right. To get there, usually that final girl has to start in a very sort of stereotypical kind of place for a female character. Yeah. And sort of over the course of the horror.
Yeah.
Right? It's where does Jamie Lee Curtis start in Halloween versus where does she end? Right?
Yeah.
Like it's that kind
But you're
of
also
thing.
doing it over the course of like 24 minutes, so which makes it even more challenging, right?
Exactly. And in this show, your protagonists are men.
Yes.
So the final girl thing can only play out so far too. Yeah. They don't go all the way with it. So that's why it kind of gets messy a little, I think.
Sometimes. For sure, yeah. But yeah, so
Sam finally says, you know how you told me that your mom died and I didn't open up at all when we were on a date? Well, my mom died too, and I don't think dating's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because also my girlfriend died.
Yeah. Everybody around me dies. Do you want to die? Because that's how you die.
Oh God, don't say that on a date. Jesus.
Is that not a good date?
Dean has found out where Isaiah was buried because the rest of the family was cremated.
He's in a pauper's grave.
Yeah.
He's very smug with himself.
Pine box, bones to burn.
So here's where we'll...
Sarah holding the flashlight while they're digging up a grave.
Yeah.
This is like a crazy couple of days for her.
Yeah. So this is where we're going to see the skeleton situation here.
Yeah, she says, you seem to be uncomfortably comfortable with this. It says that this isn't exactly the first grave we dug. Or Sam or Dean says it. But.
Yeah. Very, very, very funny. So they finally hit the box. I mean, God, could you imagine digging up a grave?
Think of how often they dig up graves. You have to dig 6 feet down and the full length and width of a grave. That's not a small hole.
I mean, there's a reason why. It's also what Dean said to me.
Oh no!
This was. I think this is also.
Good Lord!
I mean, it's also.
What is wrong with you?
You can see why they're in such great shape, though.
So Dean, they salt and kerosene the bones. Dean says, "You've been a real pain in the ass," and they light it on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Very funny.
Yeah,
and everything was solved.
And
episode's done. Yeah, record time.
Yep. Time to keep moving.
Yeah. Well, they go back to Evelyn's, the three of them, to burn the painting as a precaution.
Yeah, and Sam says, better safe than sorry. Listen, we already tried to burn the painting once.
Maybe now that we've burnt the...
And it beat us. We got to try it again.
This has got to be
But
the
it
way
means
to do
that
it.
it's nighttime, and they have to go to the house where the painting is, which means they might have to contend with the painting.
Yes, exactly, right? And they're like, Sarah shouldn't come, but she's not going to listen to that at all.
Yeah, Dean's just playing like rock and roll on the radio, staying in the car, and Sam's like, don't. Like, we're breaking and entering.
And he's just like, it's fine. Why don't you two crazy kids go in there by yourself?
I mean, like,
what a romantic moment. Crossing police lines.
I love that.
To a murder scene.
Dean's like, this is dangerous, but like, you could get your dick wet.
It's like, really? Like, this is the time that she's going to be in the mood?
They look at the painting. The dad is looking out, but the little girl is gone. And the razor is gone from the painting as well. They hear a girl laughing. And, this is a good little moment.
The door closes and locks.
The door slams.
They're trapped inside the house now with the little girl.
Dean's like, I should have gone with them.
Yeah.
Silly Dean.
I know the door's locked, but you still got a chance, Sam.
Tell her about the time you backpacked through Europe. So they're on the phone. They're telling Dean, I think it's the girl. She's got the razor. The girl's out of the painting.
Yeah.
Door won't budge. Lock can't be picked. Dean says, let me grab my battering ram, because Sam tells him to break the door down, which is very funny.
I know. I don't think he has.
No, he doesn't. Yeah. He's like being okay, easy. I'll break the door down.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there are windows.
Say, what else doesn't have salt? Got to find iron. Sam just says iron repels evil, which feels like an oversimplification.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
I don't think that's truly the case, but fine. There's not enough time to train her to hunt. That's fine.
Well, yeah, exactly, right?
Some interior doors of the house kind of start slamming. There's like this gust of wind, and you see this creepy girl dragging one of those creepy ass porcelain like Victorian dolls. She's got the straight razor. This is a really good kind of scary.
It ain't always that moment where you're like, the girl, like, she looks creepy, but also like she better do something, because also couldn't I just kick the kid? Like,
they do that kind of thing where they like remove frames.
Yeah.
She kind of like
I'm still like, I feel like I could just punt the kid. Like, she's real small and Sam's real big.
Yeah, you're a great hunter.
Yeah. Just kick the ghost. What's wrong with you?
There's some, creepy head moving stuff. Yeah. Some kind of good ghost stuff. Effects that we've seen before in the show.
Yeah.
We're starting to
Asylum for sure.
We're starting to get to the point in the show where they're
like
they're establishing rules and consistency for types of things. So this is a ghost. It must behave like a ghost. What have we set up? How do ghosts work?
Yeah, how do they move? Like, what do they look like?
So there's we're starting to get an actual like visual language of some monsters in the show, which is kind of a neat thing to see.
Yeah, I like the sort of when they hit it with like iron, you get that sort of smoke effect.
The
It's
kind of
cool.
wisps
Yeah,
away, which we
yeah.
saw in Hell House when they were firing at the tulpa with the rock salt, and it sort of wisped away. Things that are kind of ghost or ghost-like are starting to behave uniformly.
Yeah. So they tell Dean that he can't get in here, so go to the mausoleum because the girl's holding this doll with her. They can probably destroy the doll because I think there's like a history of like human bones or something.
Because she's already been cremated.
Yeah.
They say something about, maybe something with human bones or teeth or something like that. But essentially, the soul of this girl must be tied to the doll because the rest of her is cremated.
Yeah.
So you got to get to the mausoleum, destroy the doll, and hopefully that will get rid of this ghost.
Yeah, exactly. Because they've now realized that like this is definitely the issue.
I love the editing, makes it look like Dean gets there right away. But really, like Sam and Sarah have to fight this ghost for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, well, exactly, right?
Like the house where they are is not like next to the graveyard.
Cemetery. No. And it's like, if that was the case, why did you drive, Dean?
I do love that. Dean has to shoot his way in because he's not able to open the door. I mean, I think these are good fights. I like the stuff with like the wind kind of whipping and using the iron, and
Dean's trying to just like set his lighter on and like can't get it to work.
Of course it doesn't.
In the moment of like need, it's not gonna work. The girl's like slowly walking up.
This stuff doesn't work quite as well for me when she's slowly walking because we just saw all of the like with the head moving. I kind of just do more of that,
I guess it's just hard to do that and walk, I guess.
Or
Probably.
it's the budget thing too. But all this and like the slow raise the razor, it feels less threatening than the creepy like moving and stuff like that.
But just as the doll gets lit on fire, the girl sort of goes into like that burn up thing, as if it's like burning the doll's also burning the spirit, and goes back into the painting.
So the ghost burns up, the painting is restored, and I'm pretty sure the dad is looking out again.
I believe
the painting goes back to the way it was.
Like I think it's like hands on her shoulder and the head goes sort of straight out, which is,
I
mean, they never really solve it, but like, is the dad in there and just isn't participating?
No, they do talk about it. Maybe in a later scene, the dad is trying to warn people. Yeah. He's looking to the side, like he's moved in the painting to like say like it's her.
But it's also like, get out of the painting and deal with your kid.
He's a real lazy parent.
Yeah. He's kind of like, hey, you might want to.
He's the sort of like he's the sort of parent that like drops the kid off at daycare and makes them teach them like potty training, and then like just brings them home and is like, I did. I cheated the system.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely not winning any painting awards. So another one of the symbols all in the wrong direction.
Yeah, these guys are like, oh, what does it matter what direction is up?
You told me to burn it anyways. What's the matter? Yeah, look, it goes upside down.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to transport things, but like the way it was upright versus where the handles were, a very like bizarre way to operate.
Yeah, absolutely. But she's ordered that the painting gets burned, luckily.
Yeah.
And sort of says their goodbyes.
Sort of a kind of awkward. She goes, I guess this means you're leaving. And they go like, yep.
Dean's like, I'm going to wait in the car.
Yep.
I love
even when he says that, he sort of hangs around for a sec.
Because he's definitely teasing them a bit because he knows that there's a relationship.
Yeah. I also like how like she's so cool. Like we first saw her all like fancy, but now she's just like in a shirt and jeans because
still drinking a beer. She's got a problem.
I mean, look what she witnessed.
Yeah. They don't actually show it, but she comes like a deep alcoholic.
Technically speaking, not the last problem she'll have.
Oh yeah. No, definitely.
But I do think there's good chemistry between them.
Yeah.
She says, Sam, maybe you're not cursed. I know everyone you love dies horribly, but
and all of the things that we went through tonight.
Yeah. And she goes, maybe you'll come back and see me. It's a nice moment. And Sam's like, yeah, I will.
But maybe we can stay in town for a few days.
Yeah. That's right. They do.
They decide to stay in a town for a few days longer. Which is good because I think that this is the moment where you sort of get Sam's finally going to let like Jessica go.
Yeah. Which, you know, I mean, yeah, fine. We know it's traumatic. We know how much he cared about her. We know how horrifying her death was and everything. But
it's been like a few months, so like get over it.
Yeah. It's a time for unity and healing. It doesn't matter how horrifying the thing was.
Yeah, exactly. We are the world.
Yeah, Sam goes back. We get a good kiss. Dean is like watching them too much. And says, that's my boy.
Takes a mental picture, gets into the car.
Keep this for the old Dean machine.
The Dean machine. Wow. So
yeah, but that's it. That's the end of the episode.
Provenance, episode 19.
That's right.
As we knew all along.
Yep. Any of us who were paying attention.
Yep. That's right. If you're playing the home game.
So thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely like, I wouldn't say there's anything like crazy memorable about it, but it's like a super solid episode.
Yes.
Like, I think that it's not like a classic monster trope except for like a haunted painting thing, which is, I think,
right.
It's not something that you see in movies very often. Like, I think it's a concept that people are sort of generally scared about, and you'll get it in things like books and like much more than you will in movies.
I mean, I talked about the picture of Dorian Gray, but that one from It,
yeah,
you know, like that's like the creepiest kind of. I mean, technically, the painting itself isn't haunted. That's Pennywise taking the form of the painting, but still, that idea of like
the thing that's scary, that the scary painting moving. Right? I think that's a long-lived concept that I think most people have sort of at least have seen a painting that has freaked them out a bit.
And again, you know, it's what you were talking about. It's that art is this emotional thing. It's, you know, it's conveying something. It's you know, it's like an expression of something, but also it's a literal depiction of something. So it could be capturing things from multiple angles.
For sure,
And yeah, there's something just sort of inherently creepy about paintings, I think.
But yeah, I think that this is definitely a heavy douchebag Dean episode for sure.
A lot of like, yeah, but what if you got laid?
Yeah, which is like not. It's
Can
not
I go back to the bar first before we investigate a murder?
It's not like inherently problematic.
He's not being problematic. He's just
being a dirtbag. Yeah,
he's being a dirtbag.
Yeah,
like a lot of like mid-20s.
Yeah,
you know,
we were all there.
Yeah,
for
we're
sure.
not better than it, but it's definitely what's happening.
You're not better than me.
Yeah, Dean. Yeah, Jensen. You hear me, Jensen?
Yeah, I'm coming for you.
Oh, am I ever?
But I think that it's always a good episode. It's just like some decent action. It's like a good sort of like it's the average for this show. I think that it's not like incredible. There's nothing wrong with it. It just sort of like works. There's barely any like goofs in this.
You know, I like we said, I do think that Sarah and Sam have good chemistry, but I don't know that the writing helps them. I think they have good chemistry in spite of some of the writing.
Yes. So I will give this 4 incorrectly moved paintings.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going to give this 3.75 straight razors.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
The potential in it is like, again, part of it's the format of the show that they go town to town and stuff. But like, I would have liked like a run of Sarah.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah.
She's interesting. And she's learned about it. And she's helped them with one where it's like, that could easily have been like now you're kind of also part of it.
Yeah.
You know, like in a different version of the show, that could have been the direction. I don't have a problem with where the show went instead, but it's one of those things where it's like the good things about the show don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
The bad things about the show, about this episode rather, just kind of like drag it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm giving it that.
I think they're working to. I mean, you can see it throughout this entire season. Also, I mean, you don't really get an indication of what's sort of working and not working until you sort of watch it back.
Totally.
But even as they're sort of filmmaking, you can see them like progressing and sort of understanding what they're sort of setting up and what the consistencies become. And you can see sort of as they're working through the season, they're figuring out what works about the show. So
Yes.
you're going to see some follies, but like a lot of like successes too.
And like we said, we're building these lore consistencies in the show now, visually in terms of what effects are attributed to which like monsters. Also in terms of like what's their strategy. It's all the assault and burn.
Totally.
We're talking about occult objects, but like all of these things we've kind of been there before.
Yeah.
But we're building a more coherent world.
Mm-hmm.
If the sort of character stuff had met that stuff a bit more in this episode, I think this could have been a really good one.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that's it for this week. If you have maybe a note about a future episode that we're going to talk about, or you just want to say hello to us online, you can do through our email.
Ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
Or having the constant chat with us through all of our different social media platforms.
That's right. We're at GhostfacersPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And if you like this show and you want more content from us, well, we have a whole other podcast that I think you might like.
Yeah, it's called the Dr. DC Podcast. It's about comic books. It's about DC comic books, but there's a lot of crossover, a lot of talk about magic and monsters. And,
we try to make it easy for anybody, whether you've been a long time fan or a new viewer.
It's just about having fun and talking about like silly things. So whether the silly things are ghosts or superheroes, I think we got something for you.
Hey, say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.